Welcome to part 3 of Elections 101. I'm State Representative Ann Bollin. I'm the chair of the House Elections and Ethics Committee. And today we're here with Representative Sarah Lightner to discuss Election Day operations. Thank you for joining me, Rep. Lightner.
Thanks for having me, Rep. Bollin. Let's talk about the TCF Center. So I have heard there have been some issues there, and people want to know what's being done to ensure the security of the transparency and the challengers.
So that's an excellent question. We get asked that a lot. First, as you know, I was a township clerk for 16 years prior to becoming a legislator. And in 2020, I was able to actually be at the TCF Center during pre-processing. And my keenest observation is that we have a lot of best practices that really need to be put in statute. So the House Elections and Ethics Committee is working on placing measures to ensure that everybody has access and there's transparency and accountability. And everybody has a role to play in our election. That includes the inspectors, the voters, and the challengers.
Okay, speaking of access, that segues kind of into another issue with the qualified voter file. So, as you know, I had a bill that prevents third parties from accessing the QVF. So can you give us a little insight as to what protections that's going to place on our election integrity?
Well, the voter rolls are the most important component of our election system. If we don't have good voter rolls, but we also have to have trustworthy people working on our voter rolls. And that responsibility lies and obligation with the local clerks partnering with the Secretary of State. And right now with the qualified voter file or QVF, our clerks have to be trained on the QVF, and they also have to be approved as one who can go in and write to the QVF, if you will. There's a two-part authentication measure that's involved, and we want to ensure that no third parties have access. So that's the importance of that bill. That also comes into play with third-party monies. We want to make sure that we have fair and free elections and that we have voter confidence, candidate confidence, and the public's trust. And that's why it's important to have our officials that are certified and trained running our elections. Some of the other measures that we put into place to make sure that we have uniform standards and continuity across the state are, we should have the same rules should apply whether you're in East Point or Escanaba, Detroit or DeWitt. Whether you're a town or a jurisdiction of 100 people or 100,000, we need to have assurances that all the rules are following and the checks and balances are in Michigan election law to ensure that we have fair and free elections.
Rep. Bollin, can you tell me what we are doing to ensure the rights of challengers?
Yes, that's a very good question. One, we know that the challengers have a very important role to play in the election process. It's part of the transparency and accountability. So we have to start with good training. We want to make sure all of the challengers and our poll workers have the same instruction on what the rights of the poll watchers and challengers are. So with that, it starts with training. Secondly, that we have other issues that were raised during the election cycle about access to the internet, third-party access, as you mentioned, the qualified voter file. So we want to make sure that the machines are not connected to the internet throughout Election Day, and that the proper protocols are in place to ensure that, one, the votes can be cast secretly, and two, that the poll watchers can observe the process throughout the day.
Thanks for that great information.
Well, thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to continuing our series and hope you will join us on our next video.